Alright guys, unbox everything here. Today we got the brand new iPhone 12 Pro Max. We're going to unbox it and check it out. So let's go. Alright, we got the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Right out of the gate, the first thing you notice is the box. Definitely going to be a little bit smaller this year. Apple obviously shipping these without a charger brick, so that leads to a smaller box. The box. You can see we have the iPhone 12 Pro Max, graphite color, 128 gigabyte. Alright, so we can go ahead and get this bad boy opened up. Apple with a nicely designed package. Always a good release. You can open it up with one hand. Right away the first thing you see is that new camera setup staring at you. You can get a good look at those flat edges. And definitely highly reflective. Only time will tell if that's going to be a fingerprint magnet. I have a feeling that it's going to be. So inside the box you have your USB Type-C to Lightning cable. You have your standard paperwork, SIM card removal tool, and this year Apple's only shipping you out one Apple logo sticker. Now onto the main attraction, the phone itself. Always a nice unboxing experience, pulling that sticker off. Alright, so we're going to take a second, we're going to go ahead and get this thing set up and we'll be right back. Alright, so we went ahead and got this thing set up, and I gotta tell you, first impression is, it's pretty big, but again, it's pretty sweet too. A lot of people like to hang on to their iPhones for, several generations, so if you're upgrading from a iPhone 8 or an iPhone 10 even, this is gonna be a pretty big upgrade for you. So upgrading from a iPhone 10 myself, one thing I'm a little disappointed in is the notch is about the same size as iPhone 10. And I bet if I grabbed my iPhone 10 and compared the two, they would be identical. You'd like to think over the last 3 years, Apple would have been able to make some improvement on reducing the size of the notch. But with the larger screen, it almost gives it a little bit of a feeling that it is smaller, even though it isn't. Speaking of the screen is amazing. It's bright, it's sharp. It's only 60 Hz refresh rate. Again, I'm a little bit disappointed that Apple didn't include the 120 Hz refresh rate. Although I hear they didn't include it because of battery. It was probably a choice between going 5G with these phones or doing the higher refresh rate. And being that I don't really have 5G accessible in my area, I think I would have rather had the 120 Hz refresh rate. And I think I would have gotten more use out of it. So the camera setup on this, first thing that I noticed is different. You have the 2.5 times optical zoom. I'll actually put that to the test real quick and see how that does. Bring in the trusty screwdriver. So do a picture at 0.5 magnification, 1x magnification. We'll go up to 2.5 magnification. So overall, I'm pretty impressed. I'll see if I can take a couple pictures, maybe outside when it's dark out, and see how these perform in low light situations. One thing I'm excited about too with this phone, obviously you've got HD 30 frames per second, HD 60 frames per second. But also, with this phone, you could shoot 4K, and I'm excited to give this a shot and see how it works. And actually, I'm going to shoot a couple of videos here. I'll give some examples of regular HD versus 4K, so you guys can see what the difference is. Now, I don't know with YouTube, on a small screen, if you're watching this on a cell phone, if you're going to notice a big difference between regular HD and 4K, but as you upscale that on a larger TV, I think that's where you're going to notice those differences. Now, just in handling this phone for a few minutes, I questioned earlier whether the highly reflective sides were going to be a fingerprint magnet, and, well, they are. They're getting smudged up quite a bit. They're getting fingerprints on them, which is kind of annoying. The back of the phone is this nice matte finish. I'd almost would have preferred that everything be a matte finish. That way you don't get these heavy fingerprints. Right, now obviously, if the fingerprints bother you, your solution to that is to get a case on this. There's a ton of cases on the market already, ranging from $7 up to $40, $50. So you got plenty to choose from already. So now, further checking out the phone, you have some extra holes down here for the speakers. I'm wondering if that kind of leads to better sound. Not necessarily louder sound, but maybe the presence of a little bit more bass. So let's check it out. I know, I don't necessarily know if it's any louder than previous iPhones, but you can tell there's a little bit more punch to the bass. Again, it's not going to be overwhelming. It is just a cell phone, but you get a little bit more range in there, which is nice. So overall, guys, I think Apple did a really nice job with this phone. The screen is impressive. It's big. I love that they brought back the flat sides. Not a big fan of them being highly reflective. I would have preferred a matte finish on the sides, but I'm going to put a case on here, so in the long run it's not really going to bother me that much. And lastly, I really like that they finally upgraded their camera hardware. In time we'll see how big of an improvement that really is. But coming from an iPhone 10 and making that multi-generational jump, just taking a few pictures with this, I could already tell that the camera quality and the video quality is much better than an iPhone 10. So if you're like most people and you hang on to your iPhones for several years and you're making that multi-generational jump, you're going to see a big difference in the video and photo quality. Alright guys, so that's it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. Maybe come back in a week and do a full review video on this. I'm sure after a week of using this on a daily basis, I'm going to have a lot more to talk about. This is Unbox Reality. My name is James. Peace. I'll catch you in the next one.